Hello everyone, I know it's been quite a while since the last time I posted, and I'm going to come back with 100 push-ups while talking about animal facts, because I love animals and I love working out. Let us get straight to it with the push-ups. So, as some of you may know, I love working out, and I love animals just as much. I should state I will not be doing 100 push-ups in a row. I will be taking periodic breaks to do water. As well, I've gotten a bit out of shape. I got an injury to my hand, and I wanted to heal faster than I wanted to grow my muscles. So I took a break so it could heal a bit better. At least from working out. YouTube, I just forgot. Where's my water at? Left it on my bed. Anyways, first animal fact I'm going to talk about is the giant spider web that was discovered in, I think, Greece. It was around 1,100 meters, which roughly comes out to like 3,500 feet, I think, for people who don't know the metric system. This spider web also had over 100,000 spiders in it, containing 2 different species. These 2 different species were not formerly known to really coexist with each other. And the fact that both of them are coexisting to maintain the web is very interesting. After reading it, I have a personal theory that's connected to the amount of sulfur in the cave. Okay, I think I've done around 20. I've been doing 100 push-ups every day for like 3 days. It's already hurting. Okay. No, but I'm pretty sure the odd sense of behavior is connected to the levels of sulfur in the cave. Why? Sulfur is known to affect animals oddly. Take human. Anyways, but those spiders, they're very interesting. But I am going to be changing the subject as I continue into the next set. Arms getting less tired. Okay, let's do this. Next animal fact, wait. I did not come into this prepared, by the way. I kind of just got up and decided, let's record this. So, our next animal fact is going to be about Maine Coons. I like Maine Coons. I want a Maine Coon. Maine Coons are one of the largest domestic breeds of cats. Mainly on account of where the environment they were remains. Maine Coons, as you might be able to guess from the name, are native to Maine. Now, when I say native, I mean they have lived here for several years. How long is several years? Over 1,000. Now, we don't know the exact time frame for when the Maine Coon migrated to America. What we do know is that they are not natively born in America. They did originate from somewhere else. However, over 1,000 years ago, they were brought to America and found a sustainable population in Maine, at which point they turned into the Maine Coon. Most likely they were Norwegian forest cats that became more adapted to the American climate. As you can take an example from several breeds of dog and cat and how they have been able to change and grow. Take a wolf to a poodle or pug. This is evolution in the fastest sense through crossbreeding. Humans are forcing evolution. Now, while doing this, the question comes up of, is this wrong? Now, there's a lot of opinions on this. Is it wrong for animals that aren't related to each other directly to breed? Should same species be limited? I'm not trying to make this political. This is not some subversive messaging. I'm being very literal here with animals. And my answer is yes. Why? Because who knows what it could create. Let's say, go use the liger as an example. One of the things that makes the liger special is the fact that it lacks a hormone that that limits growth. Because of the limited growth, or the lack of limited growth, it can become enormous. This enormous size is what leads to its downfall. They become obese because they have no limit to their growth. Also, I'm going to need a bit of a longer break for push-ups. My arms are killing me. Whew. Anyways. Now, what you can do when you find stuff out like this is you can try to reverse engineer it. Take, for example, what we're doing with mole rats. Mole rats contain a cell that it makes them resistant to cancers. Now, by studying this and trying to reverse engineer it, we might be able to reproduce that effect. Now, none of what I'm saying is confirmed. This is speculative science. I'm not the most versed on it. I'm saying what I do know. Whew. While being exhausted from working out. Speaking of it, let's get back to that. Also, I'll put my arms in frame. Whew. Anyways, next fact. The animal with the strongest kick in the animal kingdom would be the giraffe. Now, that probably makes sense on account of largest animal. I'll be honest, that wasn't my first guess when I first thought what animal has the strongest kick. I kind of thought stomps were included in kicks, which they weren't, but I thought they were. In which case, the elephant, but once again, kicks. Also, don't underestimate a giraffe, man. Those guys got some crazy kicks. Fun fact, giraffes are known to decapitate lions that go after their children with one singular kick. They're also known to kill their own children with those said kicks, but hey, not every parent's perfect. Whew. Another fact of the day. America is native to the Gila monster, which is one of 2 known venomous species of lizard. This begs the question, why are there only 2 species of lizards that develop venom? Answer. Venom is a predatory trait. If you have venom, it is typically not used in defensive measures. Now, there are exceptions to this, which is the Gila monster. Now, I understand I'm technically not pronouncing it right, because it's Gila monster, but I'm out of breath, so I'll call it Gila monster from now on. Push-ups suck when you do 100 in a row-ish. Not really in a row, because I'm taking breaks. But, hey, it counts for some. I wish my sleeves would stay up. I think I've got like 30 more. Yeah, I think I've done about 70. I'll count. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna take a quick break to count. Okay, I'm back. I did about 71. So, that means I'm going to aim to do 33 more. That way, in case I had a miscalculation in my math, I'm still fulfilling at least 100. In fact, I think I'm going for 110 to once again affirm that I did 100, since I believe more is better than less. So, I don't remember where I was with animal facts, even though I just watched the video. So I'm going to pick right off with, instead of an animal fact, what I love even more than animals, prehistoric creatures. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyways, because I love prehistoric creatures so much, specifically, I think all creatures are great, especially ones that are extinct. My favorite extinct creature is the giant ground sloth. Why, you might ask? I believe they're an example of what I call an apex herbivore. Now, science defines apex herbivores as a herbivore that remains untouched. Now, herbivores like this don't really exist. The only real examples I can give you off the top of my head are elephants. But they aren't true apex herbivores because they're still preyed on. Things still eat them. But they're as close as you'll get in the modern day. Sorry, I gotta fix my hair. In previous eons, centuries, millennia, whatever measurement of time you want to use, there have been other creatures that fulfilled this role. Think 300 years ago with the Steller sea cow, how this creature was an incredibly large species of manatee that managed to survive for years, hundreds of years possibly, without us knowing. And the interesting thing about animals is a lot of what we know about them isn't actually all of their information. So, as an example, scientists have recently concluded all animals are much smarter than we thought they were, which is 100% accurate. Since a lot of things people forget is animals are individuals. Animals have their own individual interests, hobbies. They're not robots. They aren't going to do or act the same way twice. Yes, there are more likely outcomes. There are some situations that are more likely to occur. But that doesn't mean it's the outright set outcome. Example, if I put a mouse in a maze, put some cheese at the end, it'll go to the end of the maze, solve the puzzle. But if it doesn't, we used to just say, hey, it's dumb. Probably can't smell it. Now we might know, maybe that mouse had autism. Or maybe it had something else going on. Now, for a while we thought these were wrong. However, what if, alternatively, they're just something we don't understand? Since animals get affected differently than humans do. By everything. Bacteria, viruses, water, food. Even though they have stronger immune systems than us. In most situations. Looking at you dogs. I'm so jealous of what they can eat. Like, seriously. Imagine if humans could eat the amount of food they could eat. The amount of waste product would be drastically lowered. Like, seriously. Like, imagine being able to eat meat that's partially spoiled, or fruit cores of certain plants. It would be very interesting. Personally, one of my favorite fields of science is speculative evolution. Seeing what could have happened, or thinking of what could have happened. Like, what if elephants decided not to grow trunks? Would that have changed their evolutionary history? How would that change their evolutionary history? What if whales decided to stay on land? What would that have become? What if birds evolved to stay like terror birds and re-evolved tails? Becoming like the mythical cockatrice. That would also be very interesting. Also, I'm sorry for taking so many breaks. My arms are very tired. They're like jelly. Ooh, jelly arms. Yeah. Whew. Nah. Personally, I love books. And this is one of my favorite animal books. It contains pages upon pages upon pages about all things animal. There's different chapters about it, from what it describes as simple animals, meaning non-complex cellular life, all the way to everything. Now, it doesn't go into very much detail about any particular subject, but it is very informative. The world of animals. Let me try to find the author for you guys. Animals. It's a UK book. Yeah, it's from the United Kingdoms, but yeah, it's a good book. Whew. I'll show you guys another one of my favorites, but unfortunately, that book's about native wildlife around where I live, and I don't want to expose where I live just yet. So, let's get this over with, and just push out like 10 more. Okay. Whew. Feel the muscles tensing in ways me no likey. As you can see, I'm not small. Got some good muscles. I'm just a bit out of shape. Actually, what the fuck? God damn. I should also mention, I'm a rather small dude. I'm around 5'6", 115 pounds. Very tiny. So, yeah, I get muscular quick, so I'm really not that muscular in comparison. Whew, no. There's also some very interesting dinosaurs, like, Patagoniotitan. Now, I'm pretty sure this is the confirmed largest dinosaur, though you know me, I'm 100% on the side of Baruchcaesaurus. I believe in Baruchcaesaurus supremacy. It is the largest dinosaur. In fact, I will say it, it is the largest thing ever. No, that's controversial. It's the blue whale. There was Procetus colossus, but that got debunked. It was too small. Yeah, sure, you could argue density, but then there's the argument of conservation mass, which basically says it needs to be able to consume enough mass to preserve its mass, based off its size, head size, body structure, and what we could estimate it would hunt. It would not be able to sustain itself at that size, meaning most likely it would not exceed the blue whale in size. Anyways, I think that's where I'm going to call it the end for today, guys. Pretty sure I've done 100. Have a good day. Actually, no, sorry. Have a lovely day.